So we move on to our second section, in which we will start to discuss Phase 5. A lot of announcements, but now we know what we will get and when Phase 5 is going to start and end. Stay with me now for a minute, because in Phase 5 we start off with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We get Secret Invasion on Disney+, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, another Disney Plus show called Echo, The Marvels, Loki Season 2 is coming, Blade is coming to the theater, Ironheart, Agatha, House of Chaos are coming to Disney Plus. Then a major announcement, Daredevil Born Again, bringing back Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio to the MCU. And last but certainly not least, we get Captain America: New World Order. And then to top it all off, we close out Phase 5 with Thunderbolts. As I said, a lot to unpack, so we're going to narrow it down a little bit. And I'm going to do that by asking each champion their top 3 most anticipated projects for Phase 5, movies or shows, whatever. And they can instantly elaborate on why they feel that way. Well, let me start out with Biz. Biz. Your top 3.
So yeah, for top 3, there's quite a few good choices there. Well, to choose from. So I ended up choosing Thunderbolts. I think, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, and I guess it would have to be Secret Invasion or Loki Season 2. Yeah, so why I chose those? Well, like, obviously with Thunderbolts, it's kind of like a, if people don't know the story, well, it's pretty much when, I think, I can't remember exactly how it started, but Norman Osborn pretty much like takes over, and he creates his own kind of Avengers team, and they're called the Thunderbolts, and they kind of take on their role, but the thing is, they're not what they appear to be, and it will be interesting how they tackle that, because there is no Norman Osborn in the MCU yet. So who's going to take charge there? So that will be interesting to find out. What else is there? So Guardians of the Galaxy, Adam Warlock. I mean, and also the movie itself has been like, we've been waiting for that movie forever. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy is like one of my favorite franchises in the MCU. So I'm glad. I'm just excited for that movie in general. What's next? So Secret Invasion or Loki? I'd have to give it to Loki, just because he's Loki, and they showcased Kang for the first time. So props to that. I loved Sylvia. I loved everything about that show. Right down my alley, sci-fi, a bit of fantasy, everything I wanted in that show. So I mean, Secret Invasion, Skrulls, like, who could be one? Yeah, that is interesting to an extent, but I don't know. I guess I'm biased. I'm a uber Loki fan, so yeah.
Yeah, sounds all good. Merv, your top 3, please, and why?
My top 3. Well, my top 1, and it's Thunderbolts. I'll elaborate a little bit further. In the comics, I believe it started, Baron Zemo was the initial leader of a team that was pretending to be heroes who were actually supervillains in disguise. And they all went by different aliases, and they were just trying to get in the public good graces. I don't remember their original nefarious purposes, but and then they went through a million different changes over the years. But with Zemo in the MCU, I'm thinking that's going to be their first lead in there, and maybe U.S. Agent as well. So I'm really excited for that. I hope they bring in some classic characters like Songbird or Moonstone or Fixer. But there's so many different characters in the Thunderbolts to choose from. My second would be Blade. I don't know. I really hope they can capture the darkness that, like, my initial knowledge of Blade goes to the Wesley Snipes movies, and I've never really read Blade comics, so I'm not sure how different those movies are, but there's going to be a large portion of the audience who are like, well, Wesley Snipes' Blade was like this, so this is what this movie should be. I really hope it at least comes close to that level of, like, darkness and, you know, atmosphere and all that stuff, where it's borderline horror, you know what I mean? At least horror elements in an action setting, like that would be really cool if they can tackle that. And then my third one, probably Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. It probably wouldn't be if I didn't know that Kang was in it. The fact that Kang's in it makes it from like a mildly interested to like a must-see in my list, just because of the implication with Kang being, I suppose, the villain of it. Even though we don't have like a teaser or trailer, we know he's going to be in the movie, and that immediately jumps it up. Like I have to see it like 1 or 2 weeks in to whenever it comes to theaters, just for how much it'll impact the rest of the MCU.
We, of course, have seen a variant of Kang in Loki season 1. So,
Right.
yeah, and I think Jonathan Majors was amazing. I also think he stole the panel yesterday in that 1 minute he was on stage. Lokismom, can I have your top 3, please?
Absolutely. Well, of course, I'll just get that out of the way. Loki season 2. Just because it's a cliffhanger, so we're waiting. It's like I'm waiting on the remainder of Better Call Saul. I don't think it's gonna get here soon enough, but yeah, just for that. And I think as we're starting to see that the Kane character is gonna play a major. He's gonna be like the big baddie going forward. I think Grandmaster's already pointed out that he's sort of like a replacement for Thanos. He's gonna have that type of impact on what the narratives are going to be doing, or at least particularly when you get into I think the Avengers, the next 2 Avenger movies which are coming down the pike. So yeah, Kang, absolutely. He's just like a fan. Just so much that can be done with that character, and can just take the stories in all kinds of ways. Absolutely, Tom Hiddleston. He's just been knocking it out of the ballpark, and the whole cast. I think they should all be coming back. Hopefully, classic Loki will return. We don't know. We'll see down the road. It's a possibility he's a Loki. Second would be absolutely Daredevil Reborn, because I really was a big fan of the Daredevil Netflix series. I think the 3rd season wasn't quite as good as the first 2, but bringing back Vincent D'Onofrio and as Kingpin, what more can you ask for? I think it's just going to be real rich, and hopefully Charlie Cox's character, he's going to be becoming more and more. We may, hopefully we'll see him in some of the movies in the future. Then my third project would be absolutely Ant-Man and Quantumania, because I think this is certainly going to be tying right back into it. If I could, have a sneak in a 4th one, then I'm going to have to say Fantastic Four. I don't know if this is part of what you're talking about, but I think it's down the road, and probably Fantastic Four is like some of my favorite characters. Least favorite, I don't really know, because it's hard for me to say. I don't know that much about it. I would say the least interested I'm in would be Blade, because I've seen the Wesley Snipes movies, and it's like I don't know how that's going to go. I like the movies, but I don't know that I want to rehash Blade again. But we'll see. So I'll stay open-minded about it.
Yeah. We'll park that for later on in the show. Taylor, your top 3.
My top 3 in release order are Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, because I love the first 2 Ant-Man movies. I love the character. I love both characters of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the way they work together. Plus, it is going to establish the beginning of the story of that's going to wind up with Kang Dynasty, or whatever it's called in Phase 6. So it's obviously going to be a very important movie. Second is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because it is going to be the end of the current Guardians trilogy. I think it's going to be a really huge movie. I from everything that the cast says and what the director says, it's going to be very big and very emotional. And of course, there's going to be more new characters introduced. I'm sure it's going to set up some future Guardians or Guardian teams. As Biz mentioned, Adam Warlock is going to be in it. So that's huge. And lastly is Daredevil Reborn, or Born Again, excuse me, Daredevil Born Again. I love the Daredevil series that was canceled by Netflix, so I'm glad they're bringing back the character and Vincent D'Onofrio Kingpin as well. I'm sure it's going to be epic, and they said it's going to be an extremely long for a streaming series. It's going to be 18 episodes in one season, which is almost unheard of these days. That's like a broadcast show nowadays. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be a pretty amazing story arc, and the characters are going to be seen before that, as we know. Of course, we know there's going to be at least a little Daredevil and She-Hulk, but we know that both of them are going to be in the Echo series before. So that's going to set up Daredevil Born Again. So, who doesn't love Daredevil, especially Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio? So those are my top 3 for Phase 5.
Yeah. Before I go to Lokismom and Lord Deathman after, this show, Kevin Feige said specifically it's going to be season 1, and it's going to be 18 episodes long. So it sounded to me like it's not really a continuation of what we've seen on the Netflix shows, if you want to call it, but it's more like a soft reboot, maybe not mentioning what happened before, but building further on that without it becoming a big drama. What do you think, Taylor?
Well, at this point, of course, we don't know for sure, but I believe it is going to be in the same continuity. First of all, don't even get me started on the word reboot. Apparently, I'm the last person in the world who knows what that word actually means, and everyone is misusing it. And don't even get me started on cameo either, okay?
Okay, moving on to Loki's mom.
So I will say that I think it's going to be in the same continuity. They may not focus a lot on what happened earlier. The earlier stuff don't have to. It's going to be a new story, but I think it's in the same continuity.
We'll find out. Lokismom, you had a little follow-up before I move to Lord Deathman for his top 3. He said.
Well, at first I'm going to ask Taylor, what does he think of retcon? No, what I was going to bring up, because I think I actually said it wrong too. I think I said Daredevil Reborn, but it's Daredevil Born Again, which is a very, culturally speaking, I think that means something. So I'm wondering if they're going, and the religious element was certainly part of the Netflix series. So I'm wondering if somehow, some way they're going to start bringing. That's just a speculation. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Taylor, you're really testing Lord Deathman's patience here.
I'm sorry. I just had a follow up with what Loki's mom said. Yeah, obviously that is a religious term to many people, and Daredevil's religion. Daredevil is a practicing Catholic, and his religion, of course, is a big part of his story often. However, born again is not a term that Catholics use, at least not in my experience. So
Exactly.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a heads up on something. Oh, because when it comes to me, I'm all into all that kind of stuff. So that's really intrigued me. So anyway.
We'll just have to wait and see. Lord Deathman, your top 3. It's finally your turn.
First off, I have to say it's quite sadistic of you to force us to only pick 3.
Yeah, otherwise the discussion gets too long, and then I have a lot of work to cut.
I'm going to try to cheat and squeeze in a couple of honorable mentions, but obviously I've had the most time to think about it here. First off, I just want to say that I'm loving that the panel has so much love for Ant-Man. Quantumania. That it's a great franchise, great character created by Paul Rudd and Peyton. Peyton Reed, is it the last name? But yeah, the good work from that team, and I'm also looking forward to that. But it's not on my list. I just want to acknowledge that a lot of the champions are looking forward to that one. For me, top 3 would have to be. I'm extremely excited for, and I think we got to give more love to the captain. But Captain America: New World Order just sounds it sounds spicy. I'm waiting with bated breath to get some kind of visuals, and I'm looking at Twitter, and it's so depressing because you look at the comments about it and are people like, oh, do we need this movie? And it's about Sam Wilson, Captain America, and it's just a lot of complaining. But I don't know. I am excited for another chapter in the Captain America franchise, so I'm very much ready for that. I love going back to that world and those settings. Much like Merv, I'm ready for Thunderbolts. I was a day one fan with Thunderbolts, and people think of it as an answer to the Suicide Squad, but if you read the comic books, it really isn't. It's quite different. I mean, just it's easy to lump them together into the same category, but the redemption arcs are so rich for the villains. And they really put the villains in some compromising situations where they have to make these incredible choices, and it makes for great drama in the Thunderbolts. So I'm hoping that becomes a successful franchise, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. And last but certainly not least, I think I can bring some clarity to the conversation around my third pick, which is Daredevil Born Again. Born Again is a reference to possibly the most important Daredevil story that has ever been in the comic books, written by Frank Miller, illustrated by Dave Mazzucchelli. It is a Daredevil story that literally broke the character down to bare metal, stripped bare, and it's an incredible piece of storytelling. I'm never one to tell people who are MCU fans that you need to go and do a bunch of homework and read issues. But if you can pick up a trade for Born Again, it'd be worth your time as a story to read. So the reason I'm excited about Daredevil is they're really taking a crack at a piece of complex, sophisticated storytelling from the source material. And they also kind of have to follow up on the incredible work that Netflix did with the character. So they're kind of saying, challenge accepted. We're going to, I really hope that this isn't just Born Again in name only, and we're kind of using it to market a new Daredevil series. I hope they do try to adapt this story because it's worth every fan seeing it in live action. So those are my top three, but I have to give honorable mention to Avengers. Both the Avengers movies, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. I think that the fandom, we're a loyal fandom with the MCU. I think a lot of us are here through thick and thin. We acknowledge where it's thin and where we're eating well, but we were all kind of starving for a roadmap. We wanted to get back to, well, what's the plan? Like what's the new saga? Where are we going to? Where are we taking things? And I'm so excited that I'm going to be able to shut down a lot of conversations for, but I don't know what's happening anymore. Look, those are the two movies, the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Let's get it. So those are my picks and honorable mention.
Before I move to Biz, the first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier had the same title as the new Captain America movie. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
So, Biz.
I'd just like to touch on Daredevil. So with Born Again, I mean, like, we are in the multiverse saga, so there could be something to that, but since it's Daredevil and he's more grounded, maybe they're not going to play into that much. But also considering that it is 18 episodes, and that's very long for, like Taylor said, it's almost like broadcast level. I mean, network level. It's going to be interesting because does that suggest that maybe Daredevil is going to have a bigger impact on the MCU? I mean, that's a whole lot of episodes. So seems like there might be, it could be a very important character. Maybe it could be setting up other characters as well. It'll definitely be interesting where that will lead, that's for sure.
I hope so, but it also, 18 episodes, it gives them a lot of time and space to bring back all the characters from the Defender show. Like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones, and the Punisher, and whatever. They can bring everybody back if they want to. They have time. So that it could be interesting. Merv?
I just wanted to show a little bit of love to the Marvels. It was next on my list, right outside my top three after the Miss Marvel show. I'm much looking forward to that coming up. I don't know what it's really going to entail, but I'm a little bit more excited for that coming in after that show.
I actually wanted to bring that up because I also noticed that nobody had any love for the Marvels, but after Miss Marvel, which was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if everybody's up to speed on that, but I am very much looking forward to the Marvels. It's one of my most anticipated movies for Phase 5, actually.
It's that 3 title limit that you put on us, man.
Yeah, okay, but I know not everybody has seen the Marvels or Miss Marvel, at least not until recently. So I don't know if everybody's up to speed, but
Not
yeah.
quite. I did get a couple of spoilers in, so it's making it hard to start. But I'm hoping to catch up with those episodes pretty soon.
Well, yeah, Lord Deathman, you definitely should, because you're missing out so far. Because I think it's really great. It's my number 6 out of 36 at the moment in MCU. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, exactly. I put it on a high spot. It's really something unique, at least in my book. Um, and yeah, not everybody agrees, but I don't care. I told you before. Um, with that, we are closing out our discussion on our favorite or our most anticipated projects for Phase 5.